A very good afternoon to all my participants and my viewers in this webinar. Today, this is Tanvi Bijawat, your host for the day for College Duniya's webinar, and we have come here today to talk about University of Windsor. One university which is not just renowned but has had a lot of people to know their names in India as well. And as we all know that COVID-19 has hit the entire world, and a lot of people and a lot of regions globally have been affected by it, but yet a lot of universities and colleges internationally have tried to stand tall against this entire pandemic. And here we have Niharika Kataria from University of Windsor, an international student recruitment advisor, who would be answering all your queries about the education right now in Canada. Is it the right time to go and study in Canada? Is it the most preferable time? What is University of Windsor like? So she's here to answer all your queries about it. Ms. Niharika Kataria, international student recruitment advisor at University of Windsor, is a one-stop destination to all the students' queries. She comes up with the answers which are not just accurate, but also help the student ease out and relax their own queries about their admission process, about what is the TAT for offer letters and how soon can they go, and what about the employability score. I would now hand over the mic to Niharika, who would be presenting a presentation about University of Windsor, and then would be answering all the queries. To all my viewers, I have a request that please put in your questions in the question and answer column that you see downstairs on your window. To whatever questions you put, once the presentation is done, we will be answering all your questions. We are also live on Facebook with a 70 plus viewers there as well. To people who are watching us on Facebook, please keep posting all your questions on your comment box so that we can also answer those questions. Over to you, Niharika, please.
Thank you, Tanvi. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the University of Windsor's webinar. The basic aim of connecting with you virtually is because right now we cannot connect in person. We have to follow the social distancing norm and be safe inside our homes. So College Dunia has come up with this webinar to help us connect with each other, help me answer all your queries about the university, about Canadian education and your academics and your life in Canada. So I'll try and answer as many questions as possible at the end of the session. But before that, I'll begin with a short presentation, which is going to cover a lot of topics about how you should be applying to the university, what all does the university has on offer, and a lot more. So without further ado, I would like to begin with the presentation. We are basically looking at covering the following points, which are there on your screen now. Why Canada? Why Windsor? I know a lot of you would be looking at options in various different countries, in India itself, but what is it that a Canadian education will give you? What is it that University of Windsor's degree will give you is going to be covered in this presentation. I will also briefly elaborate on the kind of programs that we have at the undergrad and the graduate level, and also the application process, scholarships, accommodation facilities, and what to expect in this current scenario. Moving on, why do you choose a Canadian education? Why is it that a Canadian degree will hold you in a better state than the other degrees? Basically, when you're looking at Canadian education or Canadian institutions, the first and foremost thing that we keep in mind is the safety and security of our students. A Canadian degree will give you a very safe and healthy environment. The campus life, the accommodations, and the community that you get into is a very safe and healthy community. The Canadian government is known for its welcoming nature. We ask people to come from all across the world and settle down in Canada. So you have the privilege or the opportunity to stay back after you finish your 2-year or your 4-year degree at Canadian institutes. And since we are a welcoming community, there is a lot of diversity. So within a university, you will find more than 90 different, 100 different nationalities studying under the same roof. There is a lot of multicultural aspect involved when you are looking at Canadian degrees. Affordability wise, also Canadian institutions, if you compare the tuition fee with institutions in Australia, institutions in UK, you will see that the tuition fee at our institutions is pretty competitive. The cost of living in a lot of parts or cities in Canada is also affordable, especially in Windsor. I have seen people settling down in Windsor. They have been staying in Windsor for 20, 30 years because of the low cost of living there. Since most universities in Canada are public universities, government universities, these degrees are recognized all over the world. We have accredited programs. If you're looking at the BCom programs, the engineering programs, all programs are accredited by different professional bodies. So that adds a lot of value to your CV. Coming on to the location bit, where we are located, the University of Windsor is located in Windsor City, which is the southernmost tip of Ontario province. It is in the Windsor Essex area, which is home to 5 of the 10 safest communities in Canada. It is an international border city. So if you see the map on the right-hand side corner of your screen, you will see that we are neighbors to Detroit. And that is the entry point into the United States of America, which I know a lot of Indians wish to get into once they complete their degrees. So the proximity to US is also another factor that sets Windsor apart. It is the 4th most diverse city in Canada. It is on the same latitude as Northern California. So if you see, we are located at the southernmost tip and are surrounded by a lot of water bodies. So that is the reason that we have 7 months of short sleeve weather. We do get snowfall. We get minus 30, minus 35 degrees during winter, peak winter season or months, but we definitely get our bit of sunshine too. And the population at the university, sorry, at Windsor City is around 217,000, which is not as much as the population of Delhi or any major city, but yeah, we do have a decent population in Windsor. Moving on to the University of Windsor and when it was established. It was established in 1954. In fact, the first sort of college was established in 1857. Assumption College, which is still a part of the university. And the main building that you see on most of our brochures on the website is that of the Assumption College. And it has been since 1857 that we have been giving out degrees, first as a college or as a group of colleges, but since 1954 as the University of Windsor. We give out degrees in 200 plus majors and minors, 70 masters and doctorate degrees. It is a research-oriented university, so anybody who's looking at finishing their masters plus their PhD do have a good option here. We have around 9 faculties giving out these 270 different degree options to you. It is a medium-sized university. When you're comparing the university with other universities in Canada, we are a medium-sized university and we have around 16,000 students studying across various programs. There are 200 plus student clubs and societies that you can be a part of while you are doing your academics. What sets us apart? Basically, the few things that are on your screen and many more. We have state-of-the-art teaching facilities. So when you are looking at your classrooms, your lecture halls, you will see that it is equipped with the latest gadgets. It is equipped with the latest communication system. So the university provides you with the state of the art teaching facilities, the latest technology that you can think of. The diversity that we offer in terms of faculty, staff, and student population also sets us apart. So at the University of Windsor, we have more than 90 different nationalities living under the same roof. So it can be the students, it can be the staff that are working at the university, and also the faculty. So you get a very, very international experience when you get onto the university. It is a medium-sized university, so we try and create a very closely knit community so that the students who are going from India or from this region don't feel lost in the crowd. The affordability I have already discussed in the previous slides. But moving on to the ability to work on or off campus, this is something that I have actually not seen in very many universities that I've worked with in the past 15 years. The ability to work on campus, like in our departments, in our faculties, in our accommodation services, in our international student support services, are aplenty. So there are students, international students working with the residential services, working with our International Student Center, working with the international office that I am a part of. So you get plenty of these opportunities to work on campus or off campus too. So there are opportunities of working in stores and restaurants across Windsor. The kind of international student support that we provide also sets us apart because the students themselves have ranked us very highly in terms of providing support to the students. One example that comes to my mind every time I talk about international student support is about the director of the International Student Center. When I was at the university last year visiting for a few weeks, I had a meeting with the director of the International Student Support team. While we were in the meeting, she gets a call from her colleague saying that an international student has met with an accident. She immediately cancels the meeting that we were holding at that point in time. She apologizes and she rushes to be with that student. A person at the director's level doesn't necessarily need to be involved so closely with an international student, but she has been working with the university, working in this capacity for a very long time, and it comes naturally to her. So this is the kind of exceptional support that we provide our students, and you don't feel alienated, you don't feel lost, you don't feel homesick when you are at the university. Top 10 reasons to choose Windsor. Basically, when you are looking at spending 2 years or 4 years of your life and at a very important stage in your life, you make friends for a lifetime. So these friends will stay on with you for very, very long. The student-professor connection because the university is a medium-sized university and we try to restrict our class sizes. On an average, the class size would be around 1:29. So that sort of connection or the bond that you form with the professors is very good. You can make very good use of their experience. You can make very good use of their network. All of them come with 20, 30 years of experience. So that is something that you can make good use of. We have more than 200 clubs and societies pertaining to athletics, pertaining to dramatics, any NGO sort of services, voluntary organizations you can be a part of while you are studying your course there. So there is a lot of involvement apart from academics. It is a tightly knit campus. It is a very modern campus with a lot of green spaces. The riverfront is just a 10-minute walk from the main campus, so you can take a walk down the riverside. The beautiful Detroit skyline will be visible too, and a lot of greenery is maintained along the riverside too. The kind of research that we carry out at the university, even at the undergraduate level, is world class. We have students, actually around 65% of our undergrad level students in the Faculty of Sciences getting on to full-time research while they are studying on the program. Safety and diversity, as I was telling you earlier, is our first and foremost priority. So that is what we plan to give to our students, a very safe and secure environment. We are a very connected community, and that is why safety is our plus point. And another most important part of our degrees is the hands-on learning experience. The in-program experiential learning that we embed into our degrees sets us apart. You get an experience while you are doing your academics. So at the undergrad level, starting from the second year onwards, when you are specializing in your area of interest, you can do these experiential learning opportunities, the co-op opportunities, the internship opportunities, which will definitely add value to your CV. So we try to give you an experience beyond the classroom while you are on the program. You can work 20 hours a week. This can be an on-campus work opportunity or an off-campus work opportunity. You also get time to stay back after you finish your degree. So you don't have to finish your degree and immediately come back to your home country. You can stay back for 2 to 3 years while you are in Canada. Look out for jobs, and most of our students, in fact, 87% of our students last year got placed within 2 years of graduating from the university. So that is a data that you can take back home, discuss with your parents. Everything is mentioned on the website, so you will be able to get exact placement rates when you click on the different courses. There are loads of opportunities to get involved apart from academics. So there are recreation facilities, there are clubs and societies, there are voluntary organizations or internships that you can look at. We also hold a lot of workshops while you are on campus. So we know that you are coming from a very different background and you want to get settled in Canada, you want to try out new things in Canada. So we hold a lot of workshops while you are studying at the university. So there are workshops related to how to build a resume or CV according to Canadian standards. There are workshops being carried out every year about how to face an interviewer when you are going for your first job interview. So these are some examples of workshops that we hold throughout. Throughout the year, there are career fairs also that we hold. Every January, we have a very big annual career fair on the university's premises. So there are companies, representatives from those companies across the region who come to our campus and recruit students. Since we are a very diverse community within the university, we celebrate a lot of festivals there too. So if you are missing home, if you want to celebrate Diwali, Holi with your friends, Eid, Christmas, everything is celebrated on campus. This slide I'll just skip because I think I have covered most of the points mentioned on the slide. Moving on to the kind of programs that we offer. There are more than 120 undergrad level programs that you can choose from. The most popular ones are on your screen. So if you're looking at BCom, we have specializations in accounting, finance, marketing, entrepreneurship. If you're looking at the sciences, we have the traditional physics, chemistry, biology, but also biochemistry, biotechnology, computer science. Forensics and environmental are two of the most upcoming subjects in the past 2 years. Then we have our bachelors of applied sciences and engineering. The specializations are mentioned on your screen. So civil, electrical, environmental, industrial are some of the specializations. Mechanical has its own specialization in aerospace, automotive, environmental, and materials engineering. We also have the Bachelor of Human Kinetics, which is equivalent to your rehabilitation or physiotherapy sort of courses. So we have specializations in movement sciences, sports psychology. We also have Bachelor of Arts and Humanities. So if you're interested in getting into psychology, political science, sociology, and many other subjects, you can look at getting into this faculty. Basic admission requirements are completion of grade 12th. When we are looking at your application, we need your 10th, 11th, and 12th scores. We need a minimum aggregate score of 70 to 80%. This is Ontario standards. As per the Indian standards, CBSE, ICSE board, it is roughly around 65% that we are looking at. Engineering, sciences, BCom, these are some faculties which have specific requirements. So those would be mentioned on your offer letter, course-wise requirement. So moving on to the English language proficiency test, we also need an IELTS score or a TOEFL or a Pearson score. At this time, I know since we are in a lockdown state, you can also give the online Duolingo exam and get through the admission process. Now, moving on to another important aspect of studying abroad is the scholarships and the bursaries or awards that we give out. We have a lot of entrance scholarships to offer. These are all based on academic merit. So if you have been scoring really well in your 10th, 11th, and 12th, we should be able to give you scholarships starting from 500 Canadian dollars to 10,000 Canadian dollars. So if you have 85% and above, you can actually get 7, 8, or 10,000 Canadian dollars scholarship for the first year of entry. Every year, these scholarships you can apply for, but the scholarships will be based on your previous year's CGPA. So these are all academic scholarships, but plenty in number. Admission requirements for the programs I've already discussed. Percentage requirements for IB students. I don't know whether some of you are from the IB board. We're looking at a minimum of 24 in the IB diploma. For people who are from the British curriculum, we are looking at 5 passes on the general certificate, including 2 at the advanced level. So these are the basic entry requirements for our undergrad students. Moving on to the graduate programs, the course-based graduate programs. These are the programs that we offer, which are on your screen. So we have courses in applied computing, applied economics and policy. We have Masters of Medical Biotechnology, Masters of Management, has specializations in international accounting and finance, logistics and supply chain, and human resource. We also have the popular programs in Masters of Engineering. These are the most sought after programs at the university. University of Windsor is known for its MEng programs. And the specializations that we offer are in automotive, civil, electrical, environmental, industrial. Mechanical has its own specializations in aerospace, environmental, and materials engineering. Moving on to the entry requirements for our course-based graduate programs, we're looking at a 4-year degree that is equivalent to 16 years of formal education. So if you have a 3-year degree, you will need to at least do a 1-year diploma or enroll in the first years of masters and then apply to our master's programs. We need an aggregate of 60% in your degree level. IELTS 6.5 overall with nothing less than 6. For our MBA and management programs, we require a 7-band in IELTS. 2 reference letters, GRE, GMAT is not required except for the MBA where we require a 550 minimum score in GMAT. We also need your statement of purpose. We need a CV or resume. These courses are for 16-month duration. So we have 4 consecutive terms and you finish your degree in 16 months, but you get the option of staying back for 3 years. This will be counted as a 2-year degree. So you don't have to worry about the postgraduate work permit. You will be allowed to stay back for 3 years. There are no scholarships or grants for the course-based masters. But if you're looking at the research-based masters, then there are funding opportunities available. We also have a Center for English Language Development. So anybody who needs some hand-holding, some assistance in terms of improving their English language skills can get onto these programs. These are full-term and short-term programs that you can look at. There is a separate application that you need to fill to register for these programs. In case you're falling short of, IELTS bands or TOEFL subset points, then you can look at doing these 8-week, 12-week programs to reach that level of entry. At the university, we also provide you with accommodation services. So we have around 4 different accommodation halls that you can choose from, where you will have all the facilities that you are looking for. You will be able to choose your roommates. So there are people who ask me get only female floors or only male floors. So that is something that you can look at choosing from. There are special considerations made for people with any sort of physical disability. There are meal plans which you can opt for. So the accommodation would cost roughly between 8,000 to 10,000 Canadian dollars per annum. And if you include 3 meals, then it will be on the higher side. The accommodation and the rooms are fitted with kitchens, microwaves, laundry facilities, common lounges with cable and other activities that you can look at. For more information, you can go on to our residence websites where you can actually see pictures of the accommodations that you can choose from.
Guys, I would please request you, everybody, please keep on posting your questions in the Q&A box. And to people who are watching us live on Facebook, please keep posting your questions in the comment section. Please, Niharika, continue.
Thanks, Tanvi. So the application process, I know a lot of you would be thinking about how to apply to the university. At the undergrad level, we are looking, we accept applications through OUAC, which is the centralized application center for all Ontario-based universities. So if you're applying to different universities within Ontario, you can use this application form to apply to 3 different universities. You'll have to create an account and log in, select program, complete the application and pay the application fee to submit your application. And the application will reach us within 2 to 3 days to our portal, to the admissions portal, and we will be assessing it once we receive all your documents. You will get an email notification with your student number and PIN code, and you can activate your account on our portal. The kind of documentation that is required is on your screen. So basically, we're looking at your 10th, 11th, and 12th mark sheets, language proficiency tests, and if you are looking at transferring, we need some course descriptions, syllabus, etc. For the graduate students, people who are applying for the course-based master's program, there is an eGAS portal that you will have to submit your application in, which is the electronic graduate application system. You need to create an account and log in, select the program, complete the application, and submit it. There is an application fee involved at both places. So at the undergrad level, you need to pay $75 if you're applying only to the University of Windsor. If you are applying at the graduate level, you need to pay $125. And the application process for graduate is pretty simple. You don't have to send anything to us via courier, via mail. You just have to upload all your documents and your transcripts. The hard copies of transcripts are required only if the admission officer asks for it. Otherwise, you can just carry it with you while you are going to Canada, going to the university. For any sort of changes, you can just email gradadmit@uwindsor.ca, and they will be able to make changes to your application. You can apply to only one course through each application. For applying to 2 or 3 different courses, you will need to submit separate applications. You can follow your application status online by logging into the portal. Try and use Chrome as the preferred browser, and you will not have any issues while submitting your application. Please enable pop-ups when you're working on the eGAS portal. Moving on to the processing timelines. Before that, I just wanted to give you an idea of what is happening on campus. With this picture on your screen, this is how the campus looks like at the moment, all deserted. Geese are moving around because nobody is there in person. We have moved on to the essential services mode only system. So nobody is coming on campus apart from the people involved in essential services. And this is how the campus looks like. But generally, at this time of the year, the campus is hustling and bustling with a lot of activities. We are generally having our convocations, our ceremonies during this time. A lot of students and parents are there at the campus in June every year. But this year, unfortunately, due to the current scenario, we don't have very many people on campus, and wildlife is trying to gain the territory that we acquired from them. This slide gives you the details about the timelines. So the first week you submit your application, by the second week you complete the application, and you can track the application online. By the third week you would have received the login details, so you can actually track your application. Fourth week you decide and accept your offer, and then with the offer, the conditional offer, you can apply for a study permit, and then pay your tuition fee, register for your courses, and finally prepare to come to Canada, to Windsor. At the moment, we are not holding any in-person classes. Both our May and September or the fall intake have moved on to an online delivery mode. We are not holding any in-person classes, keeping the safety and security of everybody in mind, because that is not, highly recommended right now. Most universities in Canada are moving on to the online delivery mode. This slide gives you details, my details definitely. My email address and phone number is mentioned on this slide. You can make a note of it. You can be in touch with me via email. If you're calling me, please call only during weekdays between 11 to 5, and I'm available to take up calls. The ask.uwindsor.ca that is reflecting on your screen is like our Google. So this is a tab on the homepage of our university's website, and you can put in any queries that you have, any confusions, any clarifications that you need on this page, and you will automatically get the answers once you put in your queries. If your queries are not answered by putting them in, you can actually submit your queries, and one of us from the recruitment team will get back to you. So please use this tool as your Google for UWindsor, and you will get to know about a lot of questions. As far as the current COVID-19 situation is concerned, as I was telling you, we have moved to an online delivery mode. All our programs will be offered online for the fall intake. The students have started registering for the courses already, and they are looking forward to getting their lectures, getting their classes delivered online. I know it is a very different sort of experience for a lot of students, but we are trying to give you the best online education that is possible by a Canadian university. It will be as good as an in-person delivery of lectures, delivery of classes, your assessments, your examinations, everything will be online for the first term at least, till the time the situation normalizes. So be mentally prepared. For those of you who are looking to apply for this fall intake, only undergrad students can apply now. postgrad students, it is all full already, and now you can apply for the next year's intakes. But for the undergrad students, we have still kept our applications open, and you can apply to the university and enjoy the first term of the course by sitting in the comforts of your living rooms or your own rooms and study from India itself. But definitely in January, keeping fingers crossed that the situation improves, we will definitely be wanting you to come to the university. Thank you so much for being patient listeners. I know Tanvi is doing a lot of work at the back end to collate all questions. Thank you, Tanvi, for all your efforts. And I would leave the house open for any sort of questions that they want.
Though it was a very informative presentation, I hope a lot of questions have already been answered. But I would start off with one question which a lot of students have asked me, that is it actually the right time to think about international education? Like they are in a dilemma if it's the right time to apply and what it would be like. So can you please elaborate over the situation and if it's the right time to apply?
See, this time that we are going through, or this phase that we are all going through, is a completely unprecedented phase. Nobody ever thought that we will be getting into a situation where we will not be able to walk out of our homes, interact with people, meet people, and lead a normal life. But as people say, and as many big celebrities have said, that the show must go on. We cannot let this pandemic dampen our spirits and make us think of delaying things. That is the reason why most institutions in Canada have thought of delivering the lectures online, so that the students don't waste 6 important months of their lives. And that is why we are trying to deliver everything online, so that the students are able to stay in the comforts of their homes with their parents, with their families, and take on the lectures, take on classes, and move to Canada in January next year.
True. And Niharika, what about the employability? What would be the employability like, even for the part-time jobs and even for the jobs after their particular courses? How is it going to be like? Is this situation?
See, at the moment, the situation is such that nobody is giving out part-time jobs. There are no companies hiring new people. I mean, it is the same situation all across the world. But by the time the students who get onto the 2-year degrees or 4-year degree programs graduate, at that time, there would definitely be opportunities. Like our track record says, the career services has been working very hard throughout the years to give employment to students. We have been working with companies. We have a very good connection with all the local MNCs, big companies in that particular region, and we'll definitely try and help the students out to get placed after they finish their degrees. But at this point in time, everything is very unpredictable. Right now, if anybody goes, obviously there will be no co-ops available, there would be no part-time jobs. So that is the reason we have thought of having these 6 months as online, so that the students don't need to travel, they don't need to come come out of their comfort zones and face a very difficult life there. So by December, we are all hoping and keeping our fingers crossed that things will settle down. And from January onwards, definitely people will be more open to taking on students for part-time work and co-op opportunities.
True. So we have Gopika who has asked this question: what are the basic requirements for enrolling into the environmental engineering program offered by your university, University of Windsor? So what are the basic requirements?
Is this undergrad or postgrad?
Postgrad.
Okay, so I think I elaborated the entry requirements in my presentation too. So we are looking at a 60% and above in a 4-year degree program. If you don't have a 4-year degree, as I was stating previously, you will need to have enrolled in a master's degree for 1 year, or do a diploma or a PG diploma and transfer to the university after a year.
So we have
education is required.
So we have Eepsha who has asked us that can I choose a BBA program after a non-medical stream? So she is from a non-medical stream but she wants to go for a BBA. So she's basically wanting to ask that can she switch her stream? Like she is not from the commerce stream. So can she choose a BBA because she doesn't have a mathematics background?
I was just going to say, as long as she has mathematics, she can choose it. But if you don't have maths, then you cannot choose the BCom program. You need maths for our BBA, BCom programs.
Okay. And Niharika, what do you people majorly look for in your SOPs? Because a lot of people ask questions about what should we exactly mention in our SOP to make it very fruitful or make it like worth getting an offer letter. So what do you people basically look for in an SOP?
See, the first thing that you should keep in mind is please don't Google, don't copy paste from here and there. Don't give us a khichdi of all SOPs that you found in the first Google search that you did. Basically, what we as admission officers try to look into SOPs is your motivation behind taking this degree and coming to this particular university. At times, I have gone through SOPs when they have applied to University A and written University B's name in the SOP. So please don't do that. That puts us off and that really doesn't add value to your application. So write an SOP from your heart. Try and elaborate on the points that why do you want to go to this particular university? Why do you want to take this particular program? And what do you see for it for yourself? And how do you plan to take this degree forward and make a career path for yourself?
True. Then we have Anish who has asked us this question: what is the procedure of an admission in an MBA course? And also please describe the fee structure for the same.
For our MBA program, we require 1 or 2 years of experience. We also require a GMAT score of 550, an IELTS score of 7 bands with nothing less than 6.5 in each subset. And the tuition fee would be roughly around 34,500 Canadian dollars. It is a 14-month program.
Okay. And what would be the stayback options then for a 14-month program?
2 years.
2 years.
So anything above 8 months will give them a 2-year stayback.
Okay. And for any program which is above 6 months, you would be offering a 3-year stayback.
No, any program which is above 8 months will give them a 2-year option. And any program which is above 2 years will give them a 3-year stayback option.
Okay, so we also have a question that I want to study a master's in health administration. So is there any program regarding health administration for you?
We don't have anything related to health administration.
Okay, so then we have a lot of questions also about the scholarships. So if you can please elaborate a little more about the scholarships, even for the undergrad programs and also for the grad programs.
Postgrad, as I was telling you, if you're going for the course-based programs, there are no scholarships, unfortunately. But if you're going for the research-based programs, then we definitely have some funding available with our faculties. And you will have to write to the faculty who is heading that program and see what sort of funding they can allot you. For our undergrad programs, we have more scholarships. So the scholarships start from 1,000 Canadian dollars and go up to 16,000 Canadian dollars. The 16,000 is the maximum, the president's scholarship that we call. And these are all based on your academic merit. So the students who have very good percentage in their 10th and 12th, more than 78% basically, can get eligible for these scholarships. The students are automatically assessed. They don't have to apply separately for these scholarships.
And what is the scope of extracurricular activities? Like,
they are not considered when we are considering the scholarship application.
Yeah, but
so extracurricular is not considered.
200, more than 200 clubs, which almost covers all the.
Yes, once they are at the university, they can hone their skills, their hobbies by getting onto these clubs and societies.
So we also have a very interesting question that university provide experience rather than just learning. How students will get their exposure while studying digitally? So how are you guys going to provide exposure during online classes session?
As I was telling you, the online classes will be as good as the in-person classes. We are trying to do the taught modules first. So we are rejigging or juggling up the course modules a bit and have the taught modules in the first terms so that when they need that practical experience, they're actually there on campus. The faculties are in fact also trying to get some sort of practical training involved. They are still putting their heads together, still 3 months to go for the session to start. So keep a track on the website. We will be coming up with a lot of ideas, and a lot of new things will be tried by the faculties, and we will try and give you as good an experience as you can get in person. But this is only a temporary phase. I think the first term or maximum the 2 terms would be online, and then you would be moving into Canada to actually get that international exposure.
Okay, so we also have a lot of questions coming up for one query, that what is the duration for an MBA program and what would be the post-study stay back options after the MBA course, and the duration of, and what is
I
the
just mentioned it, Tanvi, 14-month program and 2 year stay back option.
Okay, so then we have a question. I would like to know about the employability specifically to business grad programs, and what would be the criteria admission, like minimum GMAT score or maybe some experience that you're looking for in a candidate who is wanting to apply for any course regarding business. So what is it like?
For the MBA, we require 2 years of work experience. For the other Masters of Management programs, we don't require work experience. Minimum of 60% is good enough for you to apply. And then it depends on the quality of applications that we receive for that particular intake. Employability, I've already mentioned 87% employment rate we've had in 2018-19. So we are hoping that we can maintain that rate or even improve upon that.
So how do you guys like basically help people to procure a job once they are done with their courses? Like, do you have drives, placement drives, or do you recommend them? What is exactly, how do you help them to search, international students to search for jobs, or maybe what would be the best job for them? How do you guys do that? How do you plan that?
While the students are studying on the program, Tanvi, they have the opportunities of getting onto co-ops. They are like internships embedded into the programs. So most of our programs have internships or co-ops embedded. Starting from the second year onwards, they do 4 months of internships each year. And these are all paid co-op opportunities. We have a co-op department or a co-op cell which helps them in getting these opportunities. Obviously, they depend on their academic merit. So their CGPA in the first year has to be really good to get onto these co-op opportunities. Once they graduate, or while they are in their final year of graduation, they will need to be constantly in touch with the career services that we have. The career services, as I had elaborated in my presentation, holds career fairs every year. We have an annual career fair, which is very popular amongst the UWINSA student and also amongst the students who are studying in institutions around that place. So people come, companies come to the university's campus, set up stalls, representatives from these companies interact with students. Students can just go and give in their CVs and hope to hear from them. Ultimately, getting a job will depend on a lot of factors. The kind of job market that you are getting into at that time when you are graduating, the kind of academics that you have had, the way you perform on the day of the interview is definitely something that clicks with the employer. So various factors come into picture when people are looking for jobs, even in India.
Very true. So Niharika, there have been a lot of questions also about, like, there have been students who have asked questions that we have already done our application, and when they check their portals, it shows that the application is done and all the documents are submitted. But it's been quite a while that they've not received their offer letters, majorly for the post-grad programs as well. So can you please tell about the TAT, that maybe it takes a duration of a month or maybe more than that, and what is the procedure so that they can also be convinced about it?
For our undergrad programs, it takes 2 to 3 weeks. But for our postgrad and especially the engineering programs, which I know people would be waiting for a decision on, it takes 16 to 20 weeks. So from the date of application, please count how many weeks it has been since you applied. 16 to 20 weeks is the minimum turnaround time. It can take longer because of the current situation. We are all working remotely, our systems are working very slowly. So it is taking a little longer than usual to turn around the application. 20 weeks is the minimum that you can think of.
And what about the average living cost there? For a lot of people who are also going for undergrad programs or for postgrad programs are wanting to know that what would be their living expenditure like, and what is better, a residential on-campus staying, or maybe taking a PG somewhere outside. So what would be better?
For the undergrad students, I would suggest that stay on campus. We have 4 accommodation halls, around 900 rooms to offer, and a lot of facilities within these accommodation halls. So, for the undergrad level, the accommodations are actually guaranteed in the first year of study. So, international students get guaranteed accommodation in the first year of study at the undergrad level. So first 8 months, try and stay on campus. It will be much better. You will be closer to all the facilities. You will be in a safer and more secure environment. For the postgrad students, generally what happens, they get in touch with each other through the social media pages that we have. So we have a Facebook page, we have a Twitter handle, we have Instagram, where students can come together and get into groups and take on flats outside. So the outside flats, obviously, we don't have a say in the tenancy agreements, in the kind of rents that they are charging. But on an average, I have seen students sharing 2 to 3 rooms amongst each other, paying around 450 to 600 Canadian dollars per month. This is just for the facilities. Plus, whatever extra you need for your fooding, your day-to-day needs. Inside the campus, the accommodation costs range from 8,000 Canadian dollars to 10,000 Canadian dollars, depending on the facilities you ask for.
Okay, so then we have Havishi, who has asked us a question. I've even completed MSc in microbiology in India. So what can be the next step if I want to step into Windsor for my further education? So is there any option for her as well? Because she wants to get into Windsor.
See, generally for the people who have already completed a master's, if they are research oriented, then the next step would be to get into a master's in research or a PhD. So if she is research oriented, she can definitely look at the kind of research modules that we have, the research wings that are there within the biological sciences faculty, and apply to those.
So we also have a question. Is 60% sufficient to take an admission for any kind of a postgrad program? For example, computer science, engineering, or maybe others. So is 60% a good percentage?
That's the minimum requirement.
Okay.
For application.
So then we also have a question. She just give me a second. I want to do an industrial engineering in postgrad program. So what is the requirement? Also the fee structure, and what would be opportunity for me for a work permit there?
I think again, I'm repeating myself. The requirement is 60%. We accept no more than 3 backlogs in your 4-year degree. You need to apply online. Fee structure is roughly around 32 to 34,000 Canadian dollars, depending on which year you're taking entry in, what sort of modules you are taking up. And post the course, you can stay back for 3 years.
Okay. So we also have a question from Rohit. What are the basic requirements for enrolling into a MTech program in aerospace engineering? What are the minimum requirements for this?
It's the same, Tanvi. It's the same for all engineering masters. So 60%, no more than 3 backlogs, a 4-year degree. It's the same.
And then we have a question from Jeel Patel, who is asking us about that he has done a diploma after his 10th class, like he's done a 3-year diploma after class 10. So is there a scope for him also to join University of Windsor?
No, not at the moment. We don't take on diploma students after class 10. 10 plus 3-year diploma is not being accepted currently at the university.
And ma'am, what is the exact TAT for an undergrad program? Because that is also a question. So
2 to 3 weeks.
2 to 3 weeks.
So once they submit an application, just send me your details and I'll keep following up for your offer letter.
Sure. So I believe we have answered most of the questions, and for the rest of the questions, I would keep connecting my students' queries directly to you, Niharika, because
sure, happy to do that.
So it was a wonderful session. I hope we have answered all of your queries, guys.
I hope so too.
So much. So now, Niharika, I would love if you can just share an ending note with us for the particular webinar.
A parting note would be that don't feel disheartened by the current situation. I know a lot of us are feeling depressed and disheartened. This too shall pass. This is what we have been saying to our colleagues, to our families, to our friends. And this would be the same thing that I would like to convey to everybody who is listening to this recording or to this live session. We will definitely get through this phase and get back into a normal routine, normal life very soon. Keep on looking for opportunities. Don't think that you should wait and watch. Don't waste your time in making TikTok videos and all that, but keep on looking for such opportunities and planning your career, planning your academics, even in these times. I mean, don't feel disheartened and completely get out of this mode. So keep on looking for positive things out of this situation and applying to universities like the University of Windsor, where we are trying to give a very good sort of course to our students, good sort of experience to our students. And even in these times, we are trying our best to connect with the students through these mediums, online mediums. So connect with us, keep asking questions, keep looking for new opportunities, and stay safe.
Thank you so much, Niharika. It was lovely interacting with you. So to all my viewers, even on Facebook and here, thank you for placing your queries. I hope we were able to solve your queries. So let's meet in the next webinar session. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.